Was there one thing that really surprised you in terms of how things work in Japan that you're like, oh,
Yeah, there's a couple of things. So first off, I mean, luckily I do speak Japanese, so that wasn't an issue for me, but nobody speaks Japanese in this industry. I mean,
speaks English?
and that's what I mean. Sorry, there's nobody who speaks English in this industry. I mean, that's the same for most of Japan in general, but especially in this industry. This is an industry that is stereotypically old school. We use faxes on a daily basis. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'll put it to you this way: if you go to my office, right? You're like, all right, I want to see this property. I'm like, okay. Call them up. They say, yeah, we can go see it today. All right, great. Can you send over a fax with your business card on it? Yeah, you have to do that in order to just, what do you call it? Make a reservation to go see it later that day. There's stuff like that just makes it so old school, and and that was one of my biggest surprises. The other one was just how closed off everything is, right? And it's not because I don't speak Japanese. It's not because I'm not Japanese, I should say. It's because that's just how the industry is. There's a ton of properties that I have like on my website or on I can't put on my website or on my YouTube channel or anything like that, right? Just because they don't want people to see it that are not in the know.
I see.
Right. And that's why it's very tough here. Yeah, if you don't have a good network of people to send you the right properties, there's a good chance you're never going to be able to find your clients anything.
That's difficult.
Yeah, which is the polar opposite of at least America.
Yeah. When I moved to Japan, I was kind of worried about finding a property because I had heard of needing a guarantor and famous or infamous key money. And so I did a Google search like apartment for foreigners in Osaka. And the company came up and they specialized in renting out to foreigners, like fully furnished apartments and such. Is this still a thing? Is this changing? Has COVID kind of changed this practice, or?
I don't think it's COVID really that's changing the practice. And to be honest, the practice is still very much there. Most properties are going to have the necessity for both a guarantor company and also you're going to have to pay key money on it, and they're going to be completely unfurnished. Like those are the three things that most places are going to be like. However, the good trend, at least in my opinion, is that there's more companies that are popping up that offer properties that don't have those things, right? Yeah, like the other ones are not changing. It's just there's more properties that don't have what we used to consider the norm.
We see a lot of questions online when we Google about key money, right? Like this kind of gift that we give the landlords as a thank you for letting us live there. Do you know where it comes from?
I do actually. Do you know where it comes from? I'm sure you've looked it up.
I looked it up and I was quite surprised. And it does make sense. What doesn't make sense is why this has kind of stayed for so long.
Right. Yeah.
So you can tell me if I'm wrong, but what I read is that basically after World War II,
that's right.
Most cities were destroyed. For example, Tokyo, a lot of houses were gone. And the few that were still standing, basically people were asking the landlords if they could stay there as well to have a roof over their heads. And they would give money to that landlord to let them into the house, basically.
Thank you for the money, or thank you for the apartment, I guess. Exactly.
And that has kind of stayed up until today.
Yes. So it's an unfortunate trend, and I don't think it's going to be going anywhere in the future. I mean, there are more and more properties that are offering no key money from the get-go, but I mean, the thing is, the Japanese market, it's just so developed around that people are willing to pay for it. If you're talking about the non-Japanese people in Japan, of course, you're coming from another country. You're like, what is this key money? I don't want to be paying that. It's a non-refundable deposit. Are you kidding me? But you have to realize though that like Japanese people make up almost 98% of the entire country. So the market is developed around people who are totally used to it, right? So I don't see it going away anytime soon. But you're exactly right about where it came from. Yeah.
But at the same time, we just mentioned earlier that there are so many empty properties, more and more so. And still, we are paying as a thank you. It should be the opposite nearly, right? Oh, thank you for renting my property. And I've seen cases of a friend moving into an apartment. There was no key money advertised, like no key money. And the moment the landlord, through the agent, heard that he was a foreigner renting it, he said 1 month's key money. So this kind of discrimination I've heard a few times. I don't know if it's going away or not. Maybe it's just kind of rare cases. Have you experienced this before when you kind of try to bring a property from an owner to someone who wanted to rent it, and he's kind of like, oh, it's a foreigner, I don't necessarily want to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we could talk about the foreigner friendliness or lack thereof of properties in Japan. But can I ask, where was that person? Was that in Osaka or was that in Tokyo?
In Osaka.
In Osaka, okay. So Osaka tends to be a bit harsher towards foreigners, it seems, just in general, right? I work up in Tokyo. I will say that I have seen, not that many, but I have seen instances where they'll say, okay, it needs to be a bit more if it's a foreigner, or maybe a bit more security deposit needs to be paid or something like that.